Hi, my name is Madison Scheckler, and today I'm going to be telling you about my favorite brain part, the amygdala. What does the amygdala do within our brains? The location is in the temporal lobe. It's part of the limbic system. Its function is processing memory, storage of memories associated with emotions, processing fear, and decision making. A fun fact about the amygdala is that the word amygdala comes from the Greek word that means almond because the amygdala is shaped like a. So something you might have heard of is the flight, fight, or freeze response to stress. It's the most common physiological response that the amygdala gives to stress. So fight will look like anger, your hands in your fists, you're crying. Your flight will be anxiety, shallow breathing, or you're ready to run. Your freeze will be cold, you're frozen in place, or you're holding your breath. So an example of this is your fight aspect might be you yelling at your partner or a friend because they agreed to have you speak at a conference that you don't feel like you're ready to speak at. Your flight might be you avoid going to a party or you leave early because you don't feel comfortable being in an unfamiliar situation. And your freeze aspect might be when your boss asks you a question, when your boss asks you a question, your mind goes blank and you don't know what to say. So the attachment styles that we've all probably learned about play a strong role within our amygdala. So a secure attachment style will look like somebody who can trust very easily, somebody who's really in tune with their emotions, and somebody who can communicate their needs directly. An anxious attachment style will be somebody who struggles communicating their needs and somebody who tends to act out when they're irritated or triggered. They'll also have a sensitive nervous system. An avoidant dismissive attachment style is somebody who will downplay importance of relationships in their lives. They're usually extremely self-reliant, but they can become more vulnerable when there's a big crisis. Avoidant fearful attachment styles they're more dependent on relationships than avoidant dismissive, but they have a strong fear of rejection, a very low self-esteem, and they have high anxiety in relationships. A role our amygdala has within our brain is processing fear. How we process fear will affect our attachment style. So David is a 30-year-old and has been neglected by the people closest to him his whole life, like his mom, his dad, his caregivers, etc. He has experienced abuse in the home towards his siblings and towards him. He keeps everyone at his life now at arm's length because he is afraid that they will leave him or cause harm to him. David has developed an avoidant, fearful attachment style. Indiscriminate friendliness. Indiscriminate friendliness can be explained by the lack of resistance shown when children meet strangers. It is when a child doesn't hold back affection of any type when first meeting a person. This is normally seen in children that are neglected. This will look like when you meet a child for the first time and they run up to you and they give you a big hug, they might kiss you, they might start playing with your hair, or just be very overly affectionate with how they are with meeting you within the first couple seconds. So what does this have to do with the amygdala? In a study I found called Indiscriminate Amygdala Responses to Mothers and Strangers After Early Maternal Deprivation, a study is done with a total of 67 kids, 33 who have been in a children's home or in orphanages, and 34 who are children just to compare to. They found that children who have been neglected and put into children's homes have expressed indiscriminate friendly behavior to all people. They also found that those same kids would act out in extreme ways for attention. They focused on the amygdala because of its high importance in intense relationships. So when you don't have a constant or reliable relationship in your life, you develop a disorganized or fearful attachment style, which sometimes results in you attaching to anyone you come in contact with, like just what I explained a couple seconds ago. So what does trauma do to the amygdala? Well, a study I found that was done with active duty service members and veterans who have combat-related PTSD and mild traumatic brain injuries shows that people who have trauma affect their brains have larger amygdalas on their right and left side. There's not a cause and effect between the relationship of these two yet, but it is very interesting. The amygdala is involved with processing threat perception, arousal, and linking emotions to experience in complex ways. A larger amygdala volume may be a sign of hyperactivity, but we don't know whether or not that is an attempt of the brain to cope with the PTSD or whether it is a growth causing symptoms like electrical storms. What have we learned about the amygdala thus far? It plays a role in our memories, fear, and emotions. Our response to stress comes from it. Our attachment style is strongly influenced by it. It is important in our intense relationships, and it gets larger due to trauma. Thank you so much for listening.